For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Matt Williams, or Billy Willy, as the schedule so lovely says. I'm an L3 from Tampa. I'm certified for L3 in Salt Lake City. I've been judging for about 5 years, and I've been to 32 GPs. Just a little bit about who I am and what I've done. Today we're going to talk a little bit about leadership and how it relates to working with other judges. With this PPTQ system coming out, there's going to be a lot more people who are going to be in leadership roles, working with 1, 2, maybe 3 other judges who may not have been the leader before and been just a member of a staff instead. So a short little summary of what we're doing. First, I'm going to go over some definitions of some things. We'll talk about 4 different leadership styles. I'm going to talk about how I approach events, and then I'm going to open up to just general questions at the end. If you have a question during the middle, we'll go back and forth with those, but if it's something that can wait, please do that, that we can get through, make sure that we are on time. The first thing I want to talk about is what are the head judge responsibilities per the MTR. Does anyone know what the MTR defines head judging as?
Handling appeals?
Sure. So you want to be issuing the final ruling in all appeals and potentially overturning rulings of the floor judge. That is verbatim from the MTR. We got 2 more. There are 2 other definitions and responsibilities that the MTR says for head judges. Sorry?
The final authority.
The final authority for rules? Sure. So the way the MTR goes is that ensuring all necessary steps are taken to deal with game or policy rule violations that he notices and are brought to his or her attention. We have the issuing the final rulings and handling appeals. And then we have coordinating and delegating tasks to the floor judges as needed. So this is a leadership role that's going to be defined, and your authority is handled because of the name of your role. And the next thing we go with is the Merriam-Webster definition for leadership. The first thing is a position of a leader of a group. So that is, like the head judge title gives you that authority, you are naturally going to be a leader there. It's also the power and authority to lead other people. And I think there's an important point here is that you don't always have to have a title to be a leader. Just getting people to follow you to do something can be done without a title. You can have a strong floor judge that's working your event who can take charge of a task, not necessarily with the instruction to do so. And that person is just maybe a natural leader. All right. All right. There are 4 distinct types of leadership that I want to touch on. If you go on the internet, you can find plenty of different ways to break it down and a lot of different styles. You can break them down into even smaller subsections, but I really want to focus on these 4. The first one is directing or telling leadership. So this style kind of goes with the I'm a leader because I'm told I'm the leader. I'm the head judge, I'm in charge. The leader there defines the roles and tasks of all the followers. So if I'm the head judge and I'm doing the scheduling for a tournament, I put you in a place and I tell you that this is your role and this is how you're going to do it. I'm also going to watch you closely with this role. All the decisions are mine, and I tell you how you're going to handle it. So all of this communication is a one-way street. I'm going to tell you this is what we're going to do. That's just how it's going to be. I'm not really giving you any reasons behind it. I'm just doing it. This is defined as a high directive, but low support. Not really helping you get any better at doing it. Some judging examples are explaining procedures. Appeal. You're going to come get me. I'm telling you that you're going to come get me. Or deck checks. You're going to wait till they present. You're going to take their decks. You're going to go count. You're going to verify it next to the deck list. You're going to give 3 minutes plus the time that you took. End around. I want you to do it this way. I want you to make sure you send someone to every table. A lot of these things can also be time sensitive, and this may be a point where I don't really have time to explain why I want you to do something, but it just needs to get done. So it's, hey, there's a mess, go clean it up. I don't think I necessarily need to tell you why we need to go clean up a mess, but it needs to get done. This is also used to create structure, but not necessarily with any feedback from everyone else. So it's very authoritative. You really don't have a lot of give and take within this structure. Not really the best when you go beyond those simple of setting up a rigor that you're going to operate on. So I'm the head judge, you're a team lead, you're a floor judge. Okay, we're set. Now we can go into better methods of working together. And the second type here is coaching or selling leaders. So this setup, I still define the roles, but I get ideas from you. I seek suggestions, your ideas from whoever's going to follow it. It's still my decision, but we're going to have a give and take. It's much more two-way. It's not just me telling you how this is going to be. I'm going to take the time and be like, all right, so we're going to do appeals. You're going to come, and you're going to get me. The reason why you're going to get me is I've been defined as the head judge, and the players have the right to get a second opinion. So while I can take that first example where I just told you this is how appeals work, this way I'm going to tell you why and let you give me a chance to ask me questions as to what the situation is. This method is still high directive. I'm still doing a lot of decision making and telling you what to do, but I'm also getting your feedback on it. So it's a lot of support. I can really help you get better with this method because you get to give me input and I can make sure that it's something you understand. I'm not just go and forget you. It's, right, this is what we're going to do, here's why we're going to do it. Are you okay with that? And we still go on. One of my examples for this is when we coordinate who's going to do what tasks and coordinating breaks. These things, you want to find out who's good at something, who hates doing something, who loves doing it, or you want to find out who didn't eat breakfast, who has a medical condition and is going to need to eat her, who decided to go to Golden Corral or an IHOP and eat all you can eat pancakes, and it's not going to be lunch until round 6. So these are things where you can best do a little give and take. It also allows you to find out that Michael really doesn't want to do feature matches because he has trouble staying awake while he's sitting. So this method is used to gather ideas from the group, but you still have control. And so this is good when you know people are pretty good, but you still need to have some control. Like you want to make sure that the event's still moving correctly, but you want to have a good give and take because they're pretty confident in what they're doing, and you think they could do it on their own, and you want to see how they would handle some situations. All right, so the third type I want to go over is supporting and participating leaders. This group, you pass on the day-to-day decisions, such as task allocation, processes to the person who's on the staff. The leader facilitates and takes part in discussions, but the control is with the team member. This dynamic is usually more for how a head judge and a team lead operate. The head judge will tell the team lead, these are the things I need to get done, but you go do them. You're going to figure out how they're going to get done. I'm going to check in that they get done, but I trust you that, if I tell you to, as a deck checks team lead, I need you to check, 15 decks today, that you know how to do that. I don't need to tell you that in round 3 you're going to do 4, in round 5 you're going to do this, like it's just unnecessary micromanagement. You have people you can trust, and this one is similar to the previous style, is there's still a lot of support. I'm still available, we can still talk. If you have questions, I'm here, but really, you're doing all the decision making. We'll have the same conversation, but instead of that conversation ending with me making the decision, you're going to make the decision. Again, kind of back, this is the opposite of our first situation and our second one, in that I'm not telling you any more than what the goals are. I'm not telling you how to get it done, I'm telling you what just needs to be done. We need to accomplish this today. please make it so. This is a great way to allow team members to prove themselves. So if you've got somebody who you've worked with a couple of times, they've shown some sparks, and you think that they've got it. Well, maybe during the top 8, you say, here, or before the top 8, you're like, here, I need you to make sure the top 8 happens. So we've got to, it's a limited event, you're going to have a draft, so I need you to set up a draft area for us. Get them to make the decisions, make the plan, and then talk to them maybe afterwards about, hey, here's what I would have done at this time. And you have good conversation and a lot of support this way. The fourth way, the fourth leadership style, is delegating leadership. You're still involved in decisions and problem solving, but control is with the follower. The follower decides how the leader will be involved. This one's low directions, low support. This one's kind of just set it and forget it, hope it works, and it's bad. In a lot of situations, it just ends up poorly for what we're trying to do. Tournaments by nature are a structured beast. We also need to have some structure. Personal experiences. If you have a lot of experienced judges on staff, like, we'll figure it out. Bad. But what'll happen is somebody forgets to post pairs. Because Justin was doing it every round, and now this round he's not. Because he decided he wanted to do deck checks. And so, really, the only time that I see this, and it's an option, is when you go for your L2 team lead recommendation, the L3 that's shadowing you may just choose to do this to you. May just be like, we'll see if he does it. And so, it's dangerous if you let it go too far. It really should be only used with a smaller and highly efficient team, but like I've said multiple times, this can go really bad. So, with those definitions that I've went over, does anyone have any questions at this point? It's kind of a decent break, other than why is it hot? Alright. I want to go over how I approach when I've been chosen as a head judge or a team leader. Your results may vary, your choices may vary. The most important thing I can say is find a style that works for you and don't lock one in. All 4 of those different types of styles work well in certain situations, and being able to flow between them will make you a better judge and a person that people would want to be around, because they know that you're going to be able to handle the task that's going on and adapt to each situation and work accordingly with them. There are some times when you just need to tell somebody, this is what needs to get done. There are other times when you have the time, this is what needs to get done, this is why. There's other times when it's, hey, we have this thing we need to do, how do you think we should do it? And let them make the choice. And every once in a while it's, just get done. Alright, so I'm going to start off before the event. I kind of broke these into different roles. So, there's interactions with the tournament organizer when you're the head judge or team lead. Well, primarily the head judge. You want to know about what are they doing for a venue? Are they going to be in their store? Are they renting space? Are there going to be logistical issues that you need to prepare for? Especially if they go out of the store, they may not be prepared to have all of the necessary tools they need. They may not have their paper cup, the paper, the printer. You want to talk to them about making sure they have all of the supplies. And depending on your relationship with the TO, you may be involved in staff solicitation. And how big of a size? What's the compensation? You want to find out those kind of things. So, if you are involved in the staff solicitation, you want to figure it out. Are you doing applications? Are you going to go through judge apps? Or are you in an area where there's not a lot of options and you know it's a busy weekend and you just want to help your buddy? Hey Joey, I got this event I need to run. Are you available? It may be that, and it may be the best method. Another thing to consider, what are your basic expectations for your staff? What's the uniform going to be? You know, sometimes not everyone has the Magic Judge official shirt. Sometimes you have state shirts. Sometimes the TO wants you to be in one of their staff shirts. I've seen all of those options be available. Sometimes people think it's cool to come in jeans. Maybe that's okay for that event. Some people think it's cool to come in cargo shorts. Not so much. We're gonna talk about call time. What time do I need to be there? Is there going to be breakfast? I'm a sucker for donuts. What's the compensation? We all want to get our sweet packs. Once you go through all of that, if you've done a solicitation via Judge Apps, you're going to do a staff announcement. You're going to make sure that you still have everybody. Because some people like to hubble. After all this stuff's taken care of, there's some self-preparation that we need to take care of. Those things include, have the comp rules changed recently? Something I should know about? Have the IPG changed? Is there any new rulings I need to be aware of? What format are you doing? Is there something I should know about sealed for this one? I mean, I'm sure that somebody showed up to an Innistrad Limit Sealed event and didn't realize there were checklist cards. And then, no matter whether you're a head judge or a team lead, you'll need to know your team. Whether that's reaching out ahead of time and asking some questions, setting some thoughtful questions for them to think about during the day. Just figure who they are. It's definitely something you can do even when you're just... Yeah, we're going to pause for that. Alright. So even if you go to work at GP or an SCG Open and you're on a staff, just look at your team. You need to know who you're going to work with to make your day a lot more enjoyable. Alright. After we get through getting ready for the event, it's going to be the morning of the event. So the first thing that I like to do is have a meeting. And with that meeting, we're going to go over a bunch of things. I'm going to try not to have it drag out too long, but I'm going to introduce myself. There's a good chance there's somebody on staff I haven't worked with before, especially if I've traveled to go to this event. I want to talk about plans for the tasks. So if I'm the deck checks lead, I'm going to figure out how we're going to handle it. I'm going to talk to my team and figure this plan out. I want to figure out a plan for breaks. Who's hungry? Who's not? Who's going to have a breakdown? This is going to be fun. And then I also want to have a plan for discussions. What do you think I mean by just discussions? Yeah, policy's a good one. What else do we want to discuss for the day? Sure, your expectations.
Any particular rules, problems for that point?
Sure, that's good stuff. I also talk about people's goals. Not everyone comes into an event with the same plan. Maybe this person's looking to get to level 2. Maybe this person's looking to get to level 3. Maybe this guy's first event. He's never done anything before. You know, everyone has a different level of experience, a different plan. And you may have someone who's an expert on the format, and maybe they want to help teach other people about the format they love. Alright, so that pretty much wraps up what I do for an AM meeting. And then we get going to why we're all there, during the day. We want to perform our tasks. We want to make sure we take our breaks. I'm a big breaks guy. I don't like being on my feet all day. I want to drink water. I want to do my job, but not die in the process. I want to have those discussions. I've seen a lot of events, and I've been a part of a lot of events, where we do the AM meeting and everyone's like, yeah, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to do this, and I want to be a 3, it's great. And then we work the event, and I don't see anybody all day. It just kind of falls apart. We are there for the event, but it's up to you as both a leader and as a team member to take more out of an event than just job done. Otherwise, you won't last around long. These events kind of all look the same. You want to do things that make it worthwhile for you and everybody else. I want to provide feedback. This is an important step. It takes many forms. And the big one that everyone harps on is reviews. And yes, reviews are very important. It's how we document that you had a conversation. But give feedback in person. Taking that time to pull someone aside and say, hey, I really saw how you handled that ruling. You know, that player was really upset, but you stayed calm, and you were able to help them get through. That's awesome. Great. Or it might be, hey, I saw you go run to put the pairings up. I appreciate the urgency in which you've got the pairings up, but when we run, people think there's a fire, and that's bad. So giving feedback is great. I also try to make sure to have little check-in meetings. They don't have to be anything long. It can be just a simple, hey, at the end of round 3, let's get together, you know, over to the side of the stage and check in on how everyone's doing. Hey, what happened to you this round? Last event I was at, I got to talk about how I got to do Sylvan Library and change the men's stock. That was fun. And this goes both with judges, TOs, anyone else you're working with. If you're head judging an event, you want to make sure everyone's doing okay. You want to talk to your team leads, your other judges on staff, make sure they're feeling okay. You know, maybe someone didn't get enough sleep the night before, they're kind of dragging, they may need an extra break. Maybe your scorekeeper's just overwhelmed. You know, Word has been a beast that day. They've had to, you know, reconstruct the event at some point, and they need to get away from the seat. You need to give them a fill-in for a couple minutes. You know, if you don't ask, they really can't come chase you down and tell you either, as the scorekeeper. And maybe the TO is just mad. You know, maybe something's going, and they're just not happy, and they're just over in the corner huffing and puffing, just waiting to light you up the next time they get a chance. If you seek them out and have these open conversations ahead of time, you can save this drama later because you approach it. You know, hey, how do you think things are going? Have they going all right? You know, what have you heard about from the players? Maybe there's something you're missing. Maybe you're not able to see that your floor coverage is weak on one half of the room. You know, maybe you just don't see because you're on one side. They're walking around because they have a vested interest and they have a different point of view than you do. Now, once we get towards the end of the day, and I usually pen this right as top 8's getting underway. I do a PM meeting. I want to talk to everybody as quick as I can. I want to do a few things. I'm going to double check it and make sure that if I haven't already, I'm going to talk to the TO, make sure they're happy with how the event went. Because I want to come back. Or maybe I don't want to come back. You never know. You can go both ways. I want to find out from them, especially if it's a larger event, what do they need so we can go home? TOs get sidetracked sometimes and don't realize that they have a lot more work left than they originally planned for. Maybe they need help breaking down their booth. Maybe they need help gathering some of the materials they brought. Maybe they need taking down pairings boards or signage that they brought. There's a lot of things that they may need help with and don't realize. If you reach out to them again, better experience for them, you can go home because they're not going to at the end of it be like, well, I'm not giving you your comp unless you help. Yeah, it's a good way to avoid other bad situations. Again, I want to give feedback. I try to make it a point, sit down with everybody on staff, and give them an opportunity to talk to me. Can't do it on huge events, but you can do it on smaller events. You definitely should be able to do it at these BP teams. You know, and if it's not me, you want to make sure that if you have small teams, that the team lead and the judge on that team have a chance to talk. It's a great system. You give feedback, foster it, maybe even get a review out of it. But the important part, they still had a chance to discuss what was going on. And one of my favorite parts about the PM meeting is confirming that we're going to do judge dinner and where we're going. This is a great opportunity while you sit down, talk about all this other stuff, and maybe somebody's didn't have a good day and they're kind of down about it. Having a judge dinner afterwards is a good way to get them excited again. All right, yeah, we're going to go have dinner. We'll go talk about good things and how great everything is. The event's done. So we went through, we did our AM meeting, we talked about what we were going to do. We went through the day, we did what we said we were going to do. We wrapped up the event, we had our meetings, we talked about to everybody, we talked to the TO, talked to the judges, we planned our judge dinner. Where should we now be?
At judge dinner.
At judge dinner. So now we go to judge dinner, we have a good time. But we don't want to forget about doing those reviews. I know I said everyone else harps on it, this is the last time I'm going to plug them. After the event winds down, it's a good time, jot down a couple of notes, that way you can write your review later on the next couple days. Sooner rather than later, taking the effort to write reviews is a good sign of leadership because it means that you're paying attention to the people that were following you and that you were working with. Not doing the reviews, well, not necessarily a lack of leadership, it just, you're not helping other people get better. With that, do you have any questions at this point on anything that we talked about?
Head judging like a PPTQ, a lot of times you end up, what I've been talking to people is like, they'll be like, you as the head judge, and maybe one person and maybe someone stand up. Like, that's kind of like a competition. With something like that, how would you approach dealing with all the things you still have to deal with just two people? And one is the head judge, one is the floor judge.
So how many of you have given up?
So, what Joey's asking is, how do you handle working as a staff of two, right? Pretty much. Division of labor. I think this is a really good point when you can go to that second style where you find out what the other person's good at, especially if you don't know them. And it's a good chance you may not know what skill set they have because they're probably an L1. That's probably what the TO is going to be wanting to compensate. You know, I have to have an L2 because Wizard is making me, but I need two bodies, so my store guy is going to be the other guy. Deal with it. Okay, so you may not work with this person. So this is a great time that before the event to reach out, find out what have they done. You know, maybe have they been running the F&M? Because if they've been running F&M every week, well, what habits have they found? This could be a problem. You may have someone who doesn't know that you print result slips. He may just take them at the end, you know? Prints one sheet of paper. Okay, so Johnny won. All right, Terry won. I can just march them down on the sheet of paper. Well, we got to break that habit. So I think an open dialogue is the most important. And then just you have to find out what they're good at, know what you're good at, and work together to get everything done. I think one thing I would focus on is don't be afraid to give rulings. Even though you're the head judge, don't force your L1 to go make every single ruling that happens. You know, while you still want to give the right to appeal if possible, not always is that the option. And you know, if you go over and get a ruling and you have a player who says, "Hey, I'd really like to appeal," all right, hold on a second, take that step away, have a discussion with the L1, do a sanity check, make sure that you haven't missed something. Have that chance to follow up with the players, make sure you really do understand the scenario the way it is. If you do, most likely stand by your ruling, but if you have missed something in your initial ruling, don't forget to tell them. You know, I understood this situation to be this. Now that we've had this discussion, I feel like the situation's a little bit different than I originally understood it. My ruling is going to be this instead of what it was before. You can maintain the trust that the players have in you,
How many of you feel good about
and still give the right ruling when that's the end goal.
How do you feel about, not necessarily the smaller events, they don't really apply, but like say larger events, how do you feel about the head judge calling himself in passes that he's already delegated, like, okay on the floor is one thing, but like, maybe pass behind, how do you feel about the judge getting involved in that kind of activity?
Specifically as the head judge, sometimes you just get bored. I mean, especially if things are going well. You know, maybe you're playing in a format where there's not a lot of questions. You know, you've got a good solid staff, you're not getting any appeals. You're looking out on the floor, everything's going well, you see the result slips happen, you see on the print and you go over and help. So, I don't see a problem. Here's what happens. But I want to still make sure that I give feedback on why I was able to help. You know, maybe the person got distracted. Maybe they took a ruling. I want to find out why that a task like result slips need help. But I don't think you should well, there's a problem. Let me let it take care of itself. I think getting involved in solving those problems is part of the head judge role. In the back, I don't know your name. Luke.
I skipped over. You ever have a problem where a TO actually more or less strict
I personally have not had that issue, but I think it's very important to have a conversation with that TO about what the policies are and how we have to enforce what policy is. I think I also take from this how I handle getting a ruling as well. You want to make sure that you explain this is what policy is. I'm not choosing to give this. I'm following this document. Here's why. I think if you have a heated discussion with a TO, then there's a good point in separating them from the live scenario. You know, still give the ruling that you want to give, that you should give, whatever is correct, and then tell them, look, we'll have this discussion on a separate time. If they still continue to want to change the rules, I'd involve Turner.
To give you an example, sure. We have this one TO. We're going to try
Yeah, so his example of a TO wanting the rules to be different is, I'm guessing that the owner of the store where the person is playing wants to be harsher.
He doesn't want to close the road. He's like, don't issue the penalty for the offensive video.
Okay, so he wants it to be more lenient, but he doesn't want to start trouble. Easy enough? Issue the penalty. How much? Okay. Yeah, I would have that conversation with them. You're not getting this penalty. This isn't your decision. This decision has to be made for the integrity, and explain to them why slow play is a problem. Because sometimes people think that the rules are a little subjective and there's not as much abuse as there really can be. And if you give them a good breakdown of what the ruling is and why, you can get them to come on your side. Did that answer your question?
So kind of in the same vein, one of the other things that I've seen, one of the things that I've seen too is TOs when you have to issue a DQ for some reason after you've done your investigation and everything, and the TO is against it because maybe that person sells a lot of products in the store or something, so they really don't want to create a bad name, or have this person feel like, well, maybe I just won't come back here anymore. And that's one of the other times where we've seen TOs try to step in and say, hey, are we really going to do the DQ? Because, you know, I don't want to
sure. And this kind of touched on a little bit earlier that the TO has a different point of view. I think to really excel as a leader in a team leader head judge role, you have understanding that not everyone has the same point of view. I know that I haven't played as much as I used to. So recently I went and I played in a PTQ. Perception, completely different from how I've head judged. I saw gaps in floor coverage, I heard discussions that I didn't hear when I was judging, and I'm just like, what is this? I apparently have not been in touch with my event as much as I think I have been. And so, circle that with the TO. The TO has a vested interest in players being happy and being in their store. However, as the judge, your vested interest in making sure that the event is run correctly, that the integrity is maintained, and you really just have to have that discussion and get them to come onto your side.
I was going to say how we handled it with the TO was kind of just discussing, like, if the player has all of it, it's not with the store, I'm a separate entity, and I'm having a discussion with that player, even though we have already had the...
I think we have a couple of people who operate as a TO role that have...
I think you could also take the approach that, sure, this one player may be unhappy, but if it appears it's biased to the rest of the event, how many other potential customers can you lose?
Nick, you have something too? Sure, that's what I think. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
One of the things that I commonly do, especially in events where I run, is during my players meeting, I make sure that players know that I am not actually affiliated with the store in any way, that I am representative of Wizards of the Coast and the next program, and so that my rulings come from policy set by Wizards of the Coast.
I think that's a great reason to learn too. Jess, thank you. Like how you jumped in.
that's good. It only works if it's actually true. For example, recently I worked for a TO.
A little louder, Jesse.
Recently I worked for a major TO, so I wouldn't have been able to say what you just said. I wouldn't have been able to say I'm not affiliated with this TO. But I would be able to say any kind of current policy, questions about that. Talk to me about it. I just wanted to point out that, like, if you work for a store, what you're saying still works. Don't say I'm not affiliated with the store because you are. Right. It actually doesn't matter whether you're affiliated or not. Oh, you did.
Just no question. You were ahead and then come back.
No, my question is for you.
All right. The voice.
Sure. So my question is, when you start working just in the freshman Saturday, come on up, as when you start working with someone like Star City and Fireball, the really big heroes, you take on a head judge for working for them. Do they make any recommendations for head judge style, team lead style, or is that left into your hands? Especially those that have that experience and go to that.
So, speaking of from my experience from team leading, from head judging for Star City, there is a document on how they want to handle certain things. Whether you get it or not has been a problem in the past. I think now they're getting more better about actually giving that to people. And I think with the new system that they have, it'll even be more stringent on what they want, with it being the 2-day events and having the 2 smaller events on Sunday. You definitely have some things where you want to talk to the TO, and this is the pre-event prep where you want to find out, all right, how do you want me to handle this? And find out what it is. Maybe I want, as Star City, I want you to put table 1 in this corner so it goes by these vendors, because they think and they may have their reasons, and they may tell you, and they may not.
Well, for me, it's also, I'm running out of 5K. Okay. So my thought on that is, I mean, I'm still kind of jumping into that as new, but I'm wondering, hey, we've done this dozens and hundreds of times. Do they, from their experience, do they have anything that goes, hey, this is kind of what we find to be better?
Talk to them. Reach out. Whenever you're dealing with a TO, I'll give it back to you. You want me to jump in? You have the most experience with a TO.
You're saying you're doing this for a Star City event?
Correct.
Okay. So in my experience with Star City events specifically, is that if you're head judging one of their events, you're going to get a document sometime before the event. So do you want me to come up there? Oh, good. Where are you going?
Okay, for those so I'm hijacking the other presentation. So Jess Dunns, L3 from Alabama now.
I recently worked for Channel Fireball, in case you didn't know, so that's where the experience is. To answer your question, when working Star City games is a head judge at one of their events, it is standard procedure. You receive some number of weeks out a document that says this is what you're going to do. And then you should read that document. And if it doesn't answer your questions, you should ask, because they're really good about answering those questions. That last part is kind of the trick for all of it. If you're working for a TO that maybe is less experienced, they're not going to think of the questions that you might, because you might actually have more experience running that than they do. Yeah, well, it could be, but if you have the opportunity to talk to them before the event, it's better. Because what you don't want to do is make them feel hijacked, because they may have a lot to do at the event, and you want to kind of give them the room to do that. If you can address it beforehand, it's better.
And to dovetail into what he's saying, if you're working an event on Sunday for Star City and you're going to be the head judge, make it a point to take time on Saturday to ask some questions that you may not have thought of before you got on site and see the room you're dealing with. And especially with the new setup, you're going to have 3 events running at the same time that are all going to take up some considerable amount of space. Where you think your event might be completely different from where it's going to end up, and find out what kind of logistical problems you may run into, especially if you're going to be the head judge.
And that's what you won't think to talk about that will come up, especially with the new way. So what event are you going to be doing?
5K Legacy Houston.
Is that
That's on the new system.
it's the new system?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are going to be two other people that you might not think to talk to that you should talk to. And that's going to be the head judge of the main event and the head judge of the modern event. Because those events are going to be happening concurrently, and they're going to be space concerns. You might even be sharing staff. So dealing with all that is another thing you want to talk about. As far as TO goes, most TOs either have a set way they do it, which they will let you know, or they'll be very open to suggestions and be willing to talk you through. So if you're worried that TOs can be obstinate about I do it this way even though you think it's wrong, I love when people say maybe you should be working for that TO. To be honest.
And to go from personal experience, I have a fairly new TO kind of picked up sort of this year, running a lot of IQs and trying to do more as far as the Star Speaking program with the IQs and stuff. And he did a couple of events off-site, and we had some growing pains. And so I had to take, instead of asking questions of how do you want this handled, it was more of a give. It was, this is how I've done this in the past. Do you want to follow this model, or do you want to develop something else that works for you? So don't be afraid if you have more experience than the person you're working with to offer help. I wouldn't demand that they do it a certain way, but offer it. I'm gonna help you. Awesome. You're already here, bro.
Yeah, we're jumping over here.
It really dovetails what works for are going to work for your stores running their IQs, especially with PBTQs. I know from experience that most of the stores that I'm in, that I've dealt with in my area, this will be their first comparable event. So it's actually more important if you get tagged to be a head judge for one of these events. Start looking ideas back and forth now. If you know your head judge for this event, talk to this TO. This TO doesn't know what's going to go on at the comparable event. Tell them your experience, feed them, get them doing good practices now so that when they do their IQs and their GPTs, they're running these events correctly, and you're getting better events right here.
So a point also here is sometimes being a good leader is knowing when to follow and let someone else have some control. So at this point, Jess had more information for you guys. So instead of me just saying, no, we're going to stay by what I know, you let someone who has that expertise give you information. Any other questions?
All right, worst case scenario, you go to an event and something happens where you and the TO are not going to mesh. Like, you've never worked with this TO before, but you find out halfway through the event that this is a toxic environment, you need to leave. What do you do?
So when you say that, do you mean that you personally feel like this is a toxic environment for you?
For you and your staff. Like, you believe that somebody on your staff is at the point where they're no longer safe, or they're no longer going to feel safe.
So
it is happening. That's why it happens.
you know, I believe it's happening. Bring it up. I feel like there's more specifics to that situation.
Yeah.
We want to get into in this forum. Generally, and I'd be happy to talk to you about that afterwards. Generally speaking, if there's a serious problem with a TO that is about the event. For example, and this has come up with me, I've needed to disqualify a player, and the TO was like, I don't want you to disqualify him. And got a argument, sure, which is not the kind of thing you're talking about, but it's a disagree that impacts the event itself. I have let the TO know, well, we have a couple of options here. One of them is that you let me enforce these rules and disqualify this player. And the other is that you replace me as head judge and have another head judge who won't disqualify this player. And those are your options. If you would like me to step away as head judge, I will do that. But I will not disqualify this player. Sometimes it comes down to that. Now, in the situation you're talking about, if you are in a toxic environment, if you are in an environment that's in some way dangerous to you or is bad for you, that goes beyond judging the event. And if you need to get out of there, get out of there. Just let just be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore for XYZ reason, and I need to leave. Try to remain professional and leave. You may not get comps for that event. Thank you. You may not get comps for that event, but at that point, I think that's not what you're worried about anymore.
Yeah, at that point, you're probably not worried about it.
So I don't have a whole lot of experience with that particular issue. I've most of my judge career, I've been in the very fortunate position to be both, to be the TO, and maybe not the head judge, but I'm usually the TO for the event. So I haven't dealt with that particular issue. But I know there are people who do. So you shouldn't be afraid to stick up for yourself. That's a legitimate thing, and I think that's very little off topic, but I'm happy talking about that after.
The only thing I was going to add to that is if you have to leave, you need to let your RC know about that. That's something you have to help.
Yeah, Watsi wants to know about that kind of thing. If it's that bad, then Wizards will want to know.
Make sure, like, immediately you're in contact with our team. The Wizards is I have to know about this event because if it's possible for you, it's likely even more toxic for your players.
You got a question in the back? Oh, wait, afterwards, it's fine. Does anyone else have anything else? You can kind of hone it back in on leadership styles, being a head judge, anything within that. Anyone have any questions right now? No? All right. Thank you all for your attention. I appreciate it. Any questions, find me online. I'm pretty easy to find. Thank you so much.